So I think primarily we are a collaboration of engineers, designers, and musicians. And I think the key thing here is that without the collaboration element, you can't make something like this, like a complete musical instrument. You need the engineers. You know, we need to be able to like design circuits and build things that make sound. But you also need designers. Some people say that these are amongst the ugliest synths ever made. I really like them. I like the angular metallicness of them. Right? I like the robustness. I'm not going to do it right now because it's on a stand, but you can bang this thing around like a guitar, and it will look good when it's old. It's got no plastic to crack and sort of just looks shit, pardon my language. The print is all like, done nicely. It's nice raised print. The idea is we wanted to make something that looks good when it's scratched and dented and old. I think that's the key thing. A lot of products, a lot of things that we use in our modern society just aren't designed to be old. They're designed to be used for a bit and then like upgraded or thrown away. We wanted to make something that stands on its own. So all this stuff, all this thinking, you need engineers to visualize it. Like you might have a sound engineer, somebody to help you like get your sound together. You might have a really great idea. Like I came in here earlier, like a bit of a diva, say, I can't work with this latency. I didn't have any idea how to actually adjust it. you need somebody else to often to help you realize your kind of ambitions, which is fine, it's part of it. I guess we've always been, Phil and I have always been the tools, essentially, haven't we? If you think about it, right? Maybe in the to building things, but not the ones like, with the sort of the clever bods in the back room building bits of kit. But it requires somebody to think of the project, sponsor it, to do whatever. To make something like this, you need designers. So I could make something myself, but my tastes are, questionable. And do you remember we were working at Fraser? I kept trying to make things with like dials and stuff, and no one liked it. No. And they were like, no, you got to get rid of it. I was like, yeah, but it's great. So, yeah, point is like, if you let the engineer try and do the design, you're just kind of stuffed, really, aren't you? So, don't let the sound engineer kind of teach you your album concept, maybe is the transferable thing. So you need designers to help you, sort of put it together. And of course, musicians, because we're making musical instruments. And the order in which it came, well, essentially the musician is the platform that we stand on. We're making tools for musicians. So the designers have to essentially understand what the musician is doing and using, and then the engineer has to make it happen, has to make it reality, has to and we're dedicated to make powerful and accessible instruments. You'll see that these have no screens. They're designed essentially to just, plug a jack lead in and start making music. And it's exactly the same on this. There's nothing going on in front of the instrument. You don't have to go, oh, where's that weird modulation that's happening? Why is it sounding weird and shit? Pardon my language again. They're accessible. So we're dedicated to making powerful and accessible instruments, but they're not limited either. So what I quite like, the this sound that we're listening to. Quite like it because it sounds almost orchestral. But what you're actually listening to there is no samples, there's just sawtooth waves. So it's just simple analog sawtooth waves with an analog filter, simple ADSRs. So how do you make an instrument that allows you to make, I don't know, variously, how would we describe it? Kind of sort of sophisticated sounds, but with a very easy interface. And that really was part of our ethos, because I'm lazy and I am impatient, and it's probably good I'm not the only person working in our organization then, but as soon as music is about enjoyment and it's positive for the human spirit. You don't want making music or getting creative to feel like work. It shouldn't feel like work, because even if it is work, you know, work can be enjoyable. So we tried, you know, really hard to make something that is just straight out of the box. Easy to play. So everything there is right in front of you. You can go to manual. So all our instruments are the same. We've got like a desktop version. Obviously, we've got more in the pipeline, but they're powerful and accessible. So have a sentence that just says, if someone's like, oh, you know, what are you guys about, or what do you do? Everyone can align to that. So we can all just, you know, sort of, yeah, we can all measure ourselves against the yardstick. Okay, intro, so feature-rich and inspire play, putting the user first and allowing unhindered creative expression. Just like for us, it's really important, like it, you know, I would say it is for any kind of venture, to just be really sure about what it is that you're doing. If it's a particular project or it's a particular event or something, it's like, well, why am I doing it? Who are we doing it for? Where do we want it to go? And I found that, like, actually putting together a group of people in a collaboration was actually quite hard until we actually sorted out our, you know, what we were actually about, and managed to like filter it down into like a number of simple key expressions. So feature rich and inspire play. So can you make a musical instrument that makes you want to sort of get up and play it, basically? I love playing this thing. I just love it. Every time I sort of mess around, I just have so much fun, basically. And of course, it has to inspire play. You know, you got to want to go and pick it up. You know, you've got a nice guitar or something. If it like feels good, the weight is good, the strings, you know, are good. If the like setup is good, you're like, oh yeah, I just really love picking that thing up and playing it. And that's really, really important. Yeah, and listen to your users, because actually, obviously, we've made this, which is, you know, I think it's a fantastic instrument. It's really portable. It sounds great. They sound the same, interestingly. But we learned a lot. We put it out there, and people were like, oh yeah, well, we want this, and we don't like that, and that's great, and that's wicked, but we didn't need that, but that was cool. So actually, when we made a bigger instrument, sort of, you know, flagship type thing, we basically had an organized system of collating user feedback and turning it into a new product. Now that sounds like anti-creative, but I would argue that and say that actually, if you consider that creativity is essentially at its heart a generous act, then you are doing something for somebody. And I think this is really important about, like, so creativity is good for its own sake, and I believe in its power to sort of make good things in our lives, in people's lives generally. There is a difference between being a professional manufacturer we are and designer of instruments, and being an amateur, which I was for so long. I did it for the love of it. I still do it for the love of it. The difference is now is I know that I'm doing this for other people. I'm doing it for other people, not just the instruments themselves, but also my collaborators, my team, my staff, etc. So putting the user first and actually understanding that, creativity is a generous act. And we focus on, our society focuses on outcomes a lot. We live in an industrialized world that says, you say to somebody, what have you been doing this weekend? I'd be like, I've been in the studio, just been working in the studio. It's often the first question that people ask is, oh yeah, did you make anything? What did you make? Shouldn't actually matter if you're doing it for your own enjoyment at all. It shouldn't matter at all. Because really, the first question I think you should ask that person is, wow, man, so you managed to focus for a whole weekend. Did you enjoy yourself? Yeah, I had a really good time. Yeah, did you hurt anyone? No, I didn't hurt anyone. Did you spend much money? Oh, well, I had to buy some kit the other day. It's like, wow, so, man, I wish I could concentrate and, zone out and focus for a good weekend and not hurt anyone and be good to myself and enjoy myself. We should go, oh, yeah, wicked, well done. That's actually a really good achievement, because actually it is, and music is about that. But when it's a professional endeavor, though, we also have to understand that we're doing it for other people, and that there is virtue in that as well, and it doesn't undermine the creative process to understand that it's something I'm doing for somebody else. And actually it really helps us, because staying close with our users helps to, and I think the same goes for any kind of creative or musical venture. I also think it works for politics, but we won't get into that. Here's my beliefs and morals. Oh, what, you don't like them? Okay, here's another set. But started a company because the music teacher brought in a synthesizer. I learned to play, sort of, searched out the music in the community and learned the history, and eventually learned the secrets of their construction. Yeah, began tinkering electronics in the shed, using vintage test equipment, way more vintage than that vintage oscilloscope you can see there. Anyway, yeah. Funnily enough, I'm 41, last time I checked. I got into hobby electronics when I was probably 16, and the internet was actually only, so that would be 1997. So we'd had a good few years of the internet, but before the internet, how the hell do you learn anything about anything? Do you know what I mean? You got to go and find books, which I still like my paper books, but it was years later before I actually realized that there is a big community of enthusiasts, lovers of the music and the instruments, and the internet connects you to them, basically, and sometimes makes you terrified that you're actually one of them. But yeah, fantastic opportunities we've got. Do you know what I mean? We've got amazing, whatever niche it is, whatever thing. I bet you there's loads of information for you, isn't there, out there? Yeah. You find it. It's almost overwhelming. Yeah, the amount of stuff that's out there. Whatever it is, you can learn and do it. So, and there's a community out there for whatever kind of weird obsession you had. Mine was making music synthesizers, and I definitely was not alone. There's plenty of people that loved the idea. But yeah, 2018, I'd had a professional career in electronics with Phil. And then I, made something special. This was the genesis of UDO. Anyone here got their own business? Nice. What'd you do?
I teach.
Oh, yeah, okay, nice.
I do that privately, so it's...
Yeah, yeah, what
I'm
instrument?
a mixing and mastering engineer, I suppose, as well.
Okay, nice.
I don't teach instruments, I teach production.
Excellent. I think more and more people have more and more portfolios of employment these days. Like, you know, I'm studying and I'm also working and I'm also doing a bit of teaching and I'm doing this. That's like increasingly the modern way, isn't it? So when I started UDO, I was still doing a bit of consultancy work. I think I called Phil once and said, look, I've got this job that I've taken on. I can't do it now anymore. I'm too busy doing this. And so it was chaos for a while. But yeah, I mean, I guess here I've got like this thing, decided a professional career in electronics by a team around me and a resurgence global interest in instruments. That sounds like it was a step that was like well controlled. It wasn't. Essentially, I ended up on my ass because like some people I were working for, like anyway, long story short, I ended up stuck. So I ended up with all this like sort of equipment and stuff I'd made for another job which didn't work out for whatever, and I actually didn't know what to do, and I just thought, oh right, just sod it, like now's the time. And like most entrepreneurs, most people that start their own business or sort of do something full time, it's not like I'm going to go and be an entrepreneur and that's what I'm going to do with my life and everything's going to go right. Usually everything goes wrong in their normal life. You know, that's how most people start being entrepreneurs. You know, they have a nice cushy job, everything's rosy, but then they realize it's not and they end up on their ass and stuck and desperate and not knowing what to do. And actually, to be fair, that sounds like it was a conscious choice, but I ended up desperate and unsure of what to do. And actually, it's probably one of the best things that ever happened because, do you know what I mean? Like, comfort is like breeds dependency, you know? And if you're like comfortable, you know, you've got like, you're earning money or whatever, like, you know, I was a professional engineer, everything's all right, you're just ticking over. But actually, sometimes the best things happen when you're just totally like, you know, out in the wilderness. So it's not quite as conscious, the origins of UDO. Really, like most engineers, something went horribly wrong first that ended up forcing you into it or not. Making complicated things, doing complicated things, requires a certain amount of flexibility of your brain. And you know, all sorts of things, which is why learning musical instruments is really good. It really helps you with problem solving, like practicing and learning new sort of hand-eye coordination licks or whatever helps you put together other pieces of intellectual work. You know, I really, really firmly believe in the importance of like music, not just for spirit, the human spirit and soul, but also for our capability to do things, to solve problems, you know. Music and maths apparently goes together hand in hand. Anyway, apparently we've got a mission. At UDO, we firmly believe in the transformative power of creativity. That is true. I really, 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 really do. Not just as a means to an end, but as a vital force that enriches lives and communities. I think that's fair to say, like, where would we be without music? You know, when music defines eras, it defines part of your life, it defines emotions, it like provides a narrative to stuff. You know, music is not just about the production of musical product, of output of tunes, but actually, you know, creativity for creativity's sake. It just, you know, playing music together, working on things together, doing events. It's positive. So we are about crafting powerful and accessible instruments. There we go again. But it's about championing the joy of play and the communal spirit of music. And we want to design tools that enable musicians and music enthusiasts to explore and express their creativity. So I think that bit's quite important. One of the important things that we want to sort of show and say to people is that actually you don't necessarily need to be able to play the keyboard. Do you see what I mean? Or to be a musician, to enjoy music. So making instruments, that's probably why so many people like synthesizers. Because you can kind of, I don't know how to describe it. You can play one note and go on a kind of musical journey. Anyway, so we started off on one sound and just like tweaked away and off you go. Point is, it's just bloody good fun, isn't it? And you don't need to, you don't necessarily need to be an expert to get enjoyment of something like this. And, you know, obviously we make expensive things, you know, they're not cheap, but metal and keys and circuits, there's stuff just, yeah. It costs. So they're expensive toys, but they can just be toys. We don't have to tell everyone that you buy this, you're gonna, you know, you're gonna be the best this, or you have to play and perform. Sitting at home with your headphones on is a performance, you know, and just enjoying music for what it's for.